Hello, Adarsh, am I audible?
Yes, Sonal, you're audible.
Okay. So I think we can start the session, right? There are 22 participants and
Yeah. You can start. I guess some of the participants are in the one of the sessions going on before, so they'll be joining. Okay, so you can start.
okay, okay, fine. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, so today, basically, we have on Friday session, we basically have our Solve with Instructor session. So today, we discuss some concepts regarding testing and software testing and how can we implement that. So in this session we will not go like we go in the previous session, we'll give you some files, MD files, and you can go through and then you can code with us parallelly. So here today in today's session, basically I'll demonstrating you some basic concept which is very important and very very easy to use concepts regarding software testing. So yeah, uh, okay, okay. So before going into the session, I just wanted to confirm with you all that how many of you have gone through that week which involves this testing, week 10, right? Week 10, all of the graded questions are done, all of the concepts clear. Am I audible? If I am audible, then you can unmute yourself and then can give your feedbacks and what you find difficult or what you find easy, such kind of thing. Since this session is totally based on the testing part, so that's why I'm asking. And if there is not any query, I'll wait for 1 minute. And if there will be not any query, then I can start the session. And if any person wants to ask any query regarding the project or anything else, so they can ask the query at the last, at the end of the session. So
Can we ask questions from week 8?
week 8. Yeah, you can. Yeah, all the questions regarding the previous weeks and the project queries we will take at the last, because there's very small demonstration on the testing, right? So we can take that questions on in the last, and first I'll try to demonstrate the testing part as soon as possible, and then we can take the question.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, I was asking about the testing thing because this session is whole upon depend upon that week 10. So, okay. Well, I think I can start the demonstration, and then in between the demonstration, if anyone wants to ask anything about the code and the thing that I will explain, so they can ask in between. But the queries regarding the project and all the previous weeks and that, we can take it as it at the end of the session. So can I start? Okay. Okay, so basically in today's session, we are not going to give you any files such that you can read it, and we are not giving you some kind of thing like in previous Solve with Instructor session. What we do, that we will give you, we have give you some MD files, and you will read that instructions, and you will code in parallel, such kind of things. So today's the basic agenda is to give some idea about the testing framework which we are using in this course. So before going into the demonstration part, first I just want to clear that what is software testing. Just can anyone unmute and say that what is a software testing and how it
Basic
is related to SDLC and that kind of thing?
software testing is basically checking for bugs and errors that we may get in any situation, extreme or normal situations.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you are right. And how it is related to the SDLC?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, okay. No problem. So see, yeah, that's the definition, the thing that you were telling is totally fine. So if we talk about the SDLC model, which is nothing but the model which is responsible for in the way if we are developing any application. So this SDLC model is that the model which demonstrate that thing, the various steps involved in the in that what do I say, the steps, the various steps, first step is that we gather information about the client, and the second is the planning and the project we are going to make and the app we are going to make. After that we design for that app, and after that we develop that app, and the last thing, not the last thing, the second last thing I can say, okay, the second last thing is the testing. Okay, after the development of the code of the app, this we basically do the testing part. Okay, so in the testing part, what we do, we just this is a kind of activity, right? This is a kind of activity to validate whether the actual results that what we wanted in our application matches with the thing or not. Okay, matches with the expected result or not, and to ensure that software we are making is bug free and there are not any kind of bugs present, right? So after that testing, there is maintenance step is the maintenance and the implementation. That is the further part. So basically testing is one of the step in the SDLC model. We have various SDLC model, like you have even heard of waterfall model, agile model, and what kind waterfall, yes, V model, and all kind of this. So these are all the models that we use in order to make an application. Okay, make an application, and testing is one of the steps of SDLC model. So in week 10 you all have uh, talked about and you have learned about what is functional, non-functional, static, dynamic kind of testing, white box, black box. So I'm not going into detail into these things. So basically today's agenda of mine is to talk about Python unit testing. Okay, so what is unit testing? Basically, a unit testing is nothing but a software testing method in which we test individual unit by unit, right? And from where we take this unit? From the source code itself. In the source code itself, we divide the code into a unit. Okay, and then these units are tested to determine whether this is fit to use or not, this is functioning right or not, this kind of things. So in this okay, so we have various testing frameworks in Python. So why I'm telling you about Python, because nowadays we are using Python a lot, like, right? So the popularity of testing frameworks based on Python is increasing day by day. So that is why there are many frameworks, testing frameworks related to Python testing frameworks, like anyone is speaking? Abhijit? I think, okay. Okay, fine. So I was talking about what? Okay, so I was talking about Python testing frameworks. So there are various Python testing frameworks like PyTest, Unit Test, which is also called PyUnit. We have Testify, we have Robot. So these all are what? Python testing frameworks. So now in our course, in our today's session, we basically, our agenda is to learn PyTest. So what is PyTest? So PyTest is nothing but an open source testing framework of Python. Okay. And it supports what it supports. Okay. I can see one hand raised. Yeah.
I was asking what is the difference between the spy test and a debugger? How are they different?
Okay. So see, a debugger is a different thing. This is a we are talking about frameworks, right? We are talking about frameworks which automatically determines your bug, and we can run test cases, and here we can make fixtures, and we can run the test cases in parallel. There are many kind of features like this what I said in this kind of frameworks, right? Debugger is not something like which supports this kind of functionality. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about PyTest, which is nothing but a framework. So debugger is something else which do not have certain functionality, and we cannot create certain test cases, and we cannot run, they can what can I say? Yeah, we can easily run our test cases with the help of frameworks like what I said earlier, unit test and PyTest. But a debugger is something else. I'm not sure about what is the difference between, but yeah, I, as far as I know, debugger is they not support such kind of functionality that PyTest supports, right? We have many things like markers, we have fixtures that I will explain you in the further part of the session. But I don't know about the exact functionality which debugger support. But this is all what I'm
All
sure
right.
of. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to add what Sonal has said, Pushpa just wanted to know, is it the same debugger you're talking about, the Flask debug equals to?
No, not that one. Like the normal Python debugger that we have, PDB.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so these types of debuggers are those which will, give you the syntactical problems in your code. Okay, so you run a code, you create a code, a source code, you run it, and for some reason it is not giving you the output. Okay, there is some errors. Okay, so that may be syntactical error, or it may be the errors that are caused due to giving wrong inputs to a particular function. For example, we are using a function, and I've defined an argument for that function. Okay, and while running the function or while calling the function, I simply called the function and did not give any argument. Okay, so the exceptions that I get, that okay, you need a positional argument but you have not given, is something that allows you to debug what is exactly wrong. Okay, the frameworks like PyTest, what they do, you can design your own test cases, which will, as I said, you can design your own test cases which will test on particular specific code. Okay, or which will test whether the intended, or whether the output given by the function is intended or not.
Okay.
Right. So so what is happening here in the functions that we are defining here, the test cases that we are defining here, we are defining what to test. Okay, and you'll see that, okay, how these test cases are formed. A debugger will not give you that flexibility to define what to see in a code or not.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, so what you can say is, if by any chance you can create a whole lot of test cases, Okay, a lot of test cases which which take care of all these minute details. Then complete test case, the source code of the complete test cases would be a debugger by itself.
So can we use these frameworks for debugging as well? Can we consider them to be a superset?
Now, these frameworks will allow you to create test cases that, and if you keep on creating these test cases that take into consideration all those bugs that might come in, then you can call the set of these test cases as a debugger.
Okay, cool.
Right. So these are user defined. These are defined by you. Okay. So the errors that we get, or the debug, or the exceptions that we get are we are getting that because they have been defined somewhere in the source code of Python. Okay. If you get this type of issue, raise certain exceptions. Okay. So those are predefined. And if you want to define something at the end of the day, when you're defining test cases, all these are nothing but creating a debugger itself.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yes, Sonal, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, fine. So, yeah, what I want to like to add what the others say. So, see, this kind of testing, like PI test and this kind of things, but will basically done by the tester. Okay, they basically done by the tester, the person who are responsible for the testing of an application. So it is not in the hands of developer who is developing the app. So the developer, what they do, they basically if they wants to debug at the low scale kind of thing, right? So they can use debugger in that place. And if it is happening, it is occurring at the large scale, so there are many codes and there are many functionality as many features in an application. So if you talk about the functional testing, in which you learn about the white box testing and the unit testing. So this kind of thing, this PyTest framework supports this kind of thing, that unit testing, which is done by the tester. They simply write unit cases, and with the help of markers and with the help of fixtures, they can run as many as test cases at one place and work parallelly, right? So it is very efficient if we talk about applications at the large scale. So yeah, that is something that I want to add. So if we come to the point that we are discussing, that what will be the agenda of this session. So as we talked about various Python testing frameworks, so today we'll talk about PyTest. We will talk about PyTest. First thing, we'll talk about PyTest. What is PyTest? Okay. After that, we will read that how to get started with Python, how to install it, and how to this kind of thing. After that, we can see that how can you can write test cases, simple test cases with the help of PyTest in Python. After that, in the fourth part, we can see that how can we write multiple test cases. After that, we will see that how a PyTest fixture will work. And at last, we will see at what is a parameterized test. So these are all the things that I will quickly demonstrate you in this session. So let me, okay, so before going to the demonstration part, let me share my screen and okay. Mm. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's the issue? Okay, let me share it once again. I'm not able to go to the previous Zoom app. There is some issue. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I'll just share my screen. Adarsh, are you there?
Yes, Sonal.
I think there is some issue in sharing the screen. See, I'm not able to go to that Zoom app.
Okay.
So my browser is
No, your screen is being shared. We can see your screen.
yeah, okay. So what is the issue if I want to go to the Zoom app?
Did you share the specific Chrome window?
Okay. I think we can
Yeah, Sonal.
we
So
can
I
start.
guess if you want to unmute or mute, it will be below. The thing will be like a tab, okay, appearing below your screen somewhere. Okay, and your activities are available on this visible on the screen.
Yeah, I can see start video, mute, and that kind of things at
Yeah,
the
that's it.
top.
Yeah,
Okay,
So that is
now it is visible. Okay, so before going to the demonstration part, let me first open the documentation of PyTest, the first link. Okay, so see what here is the first thing. Here it is written that PyTest is a framework that makes building simple and scalable test easy. Okay, so the first thing here it is given that install PyTest. So let me go to my browser. Okay, let me open the terminal. Yeah, so what is there in the documentation? Pip install. So first you have to install your PyTest on your system. So just copy and paste and start it. Okay, I have already PyTest in my system. That's why. Okay. So yeah, PyTest has been installed. So after installing PyTest, let me go to the documentation first. Okay, if you want to see the version, you can also type this.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, so all of you have done installing PyTest on your system. Okay, you can also see. Okay, let me zoom it. You can also see the version. Sorry, what was the syntax? See, PyTest 7.0.1. This is the version. Okay. So after that, you can see create your first test, right? So this is a very basic, simple test function. So I'll be we cannot waste our time into writing codes. I'll explain you what this means. Let me first copy and paste this in my file. So this is my app.py file and I'm just copy and pasting it. So, okay. So see, this is basically this is a app.py file. In order to create a test function, which is here, if we can see that two function, right? This is first function and this is the second function. So this is a simple Python function. We can see it that we are defining a function here, func x, and we are giving a we are passing an argument to it, and we are returning that that x plus 1. But whatever we will pass to x, it will return it by adding to 1. After that, we can see this thing, right? This is something that we had to notice, that this, here we can see that test underscore answer. So what is this? Let me go to the documentation. And if you go to the documentation, and you will go, yeah. So here, see, PyTest will run all files of form test underscore dot py or underscore test dot py. So this is the very important prefix which you had to add before the function name, whatever your function name will be. This is our function name is answer. So you can add test underscore in before, and you can also add like this. Let me write. Like this. So this is our Python function, and this is our test function. So after that, you can see that assert func3, and this is somewhere somewhere very simple thing, but there is one new thing, that is assert. So what is assert here? So see, after that we create that test function within this. We are using assert keyword here. So here assert keyword in Python, if you are learning Python, so assert in Python is basically used when debugging code, right? So assert keyword lets you test if a condition in your code returns true, and if not, program will raise that what kind of assertion error. So that's why we are using as assert keyword here. So if we want to demonstrate what assert is, let me go to let me create one more function here. Sorry, file, Python file here. So let's say my some string is here, and we just want that assert keyword to check our code. Assert that name is equal to Sonal or not. And if you try to run this, right, let me run this. So, okay. So it run, right. Let's say it is not Sonal, it is Sonali. Can you see that assertion error? Yeah. So the basic functionality of that assert keyword that we are using in our test file, this is our text test method, is just to debug our code and to check whether this function, that function 3, is equal to 5 or not. And if not, they will throw an assertion error. And you can also add some message, right? You can also add some message like save it, and then if we run. Okay, so after the assertion error, we can also see the customized message that we had wrote. So here's the message. So yeah, we can make use of these things which is defined in the Python language in our test function. So okay, so see here what is basically what is happening here in the test function. We are checking that function 3. What is function 3? We are calling this function with passing an argument 3 to it, and if we pass 3 to it, it will return 4, right? It will return 4, and obviously this test case will fail. So let me demonstrate you. See, so run this test file by a command pytest, and after that pytest, name of the file app1.py. Okay, I think I have not saved it. Pytest app1.py. Okay, so why it is not okay, see, this is our test file, and the first thing we had to change here is the name of the Python file. This is app1.py, right? This must be renamed as something like underscore test1 underscore test, or we can also write it as test underscore app.py, this kind of thing, right? Okay.
Ma'am, but like why did app2.py work even though the name was like different?
I cannot hear you clearly, ma'am. Can you speak once more?
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your voice is just.
Yes, ma'am. So like in app2.py you with the assertion error, right?
Mhm.
But the name of the file is app2. Do we need to change it because it is still showing the result? Why are we changing the name for app1?
Okay, so see, here we not need to change this name of the file because we are not creating any test cases here, right? Here we are, I'm just demonstrating you the use of that assert keyword in the Python. So here we are not have to change this. We just have to change the name of the file which contains the test case. Okay, or why this is, so we are running the app1.py, right? We are not running app2.py. If we run app2.py, see, uh, app2.py, it will run this file. Okay,
Yes,
and
ma'am, got it.
if we want to run the test file, which in which we are creating a test function, we just have to write this command in our terminal pytest and then the name of the file. What is the name of the file? app1.py. Okay. So what is the, why it is not, let me go to the documentation and check why it is not. Okay, pytest. Okay, they are telling that we only have to give the command pytest. So let's check pytest, right? No, I think oh, you can now execute the test function. This is not app test sample.py, and we are just running this thing with a single command pytest. In our case also we are giving this command test underscore sample.py. Okay, anything to import? No, they are not importing anything, just me try once again pytest. Why there? Oh, had you all gone through the same errors that I am here, or anything?
So now, along with PyTest, can you also write the name of this file which you want to test?
Yeah, I had tried that, but that was not working. Let me. That is, yeah, okay. It's collected 0 items. So PyTest is working, but they are not collecting anything.
We have to print the answer.
No, we don't have to print any. Try importing PyTest in there. What is the issue here? Not sure about it. So, this section. Let me write it on my own. I think pasting this does not have to create any issue. They are telling that create a simple test function, which is, this is the code, and this is the name of the file, test sample.py. They are not using any terminal. They're just using PyTest. Test. Okay, now it is working. Can you all see that? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so here, see. Here, we are doing the same thing, PyTest. I don't know what was the issue earlier. Now it is working. So, see, we had our this test underscore app1.py as our the file which are going to use as a test file. Okay, this is a test file. This is not a ordinary app.py file. So here, if we want to run this text test file, this PyTest is something that we have to enter in the terminal, and then after that it can show something like this. See, we can see that test session starts, and they are telling us that here now the session will start. And what, see, they collected one item. So why they have collected one item? Because there is only one test cases here, right? We had only one test cases here, and this is the ordinary function, the thing that is above. The above function is just an ordinary Python function, and this is the function which is called as a test function. So that's why they had written here that collected one item. Okay, so after that they are telling test f1. So they are giving you the name of your test file, and after that false. F means that the test cases within the test file, the test case which is specified within the test file is failed. Okay, and here you can see 100%. What this 100% means? 100% means that all of the test cases in your test file is executed. Okay, if you write any more files, and any of the thing, we can also in the PyTest there is an option to skip a text function, right? So in that case, if you are using that skip fixtures or skip marker to skip any kind of test cases, in that case you can notice in the terminal itself that they will write any number which is not 100%, like 80%, 70%, this kind of thing. So here they are telling you that 100%, this means that all the test cases within the test file is executed. Now after that, they will tell you that where will the thing is getting wrong, where is okay. So this is the name of the test method. Okay, after that they are telling that assert 4 is equal to 5, which why they are writing as 4, because here func 3 is equal to 4. If you go to the func function, and if you pass 3 as a argument, so this will give you 4, right? This will give you 4. So that's why they are stating that 4 is not equal to 5, and we are checking that is 4 is equal to 5. So that's why this test cases is failed, and they are throwing this insertion error. That's why I was explaining that assertion error. The assert, basically the purpose of the assert keyword in Python is just to throw the assertion error in case of any test passed, in case they passed, sorry, in case of any test case failed, and in case of anyone speaking? Okay. Hello. Okay. So see, they are throwing the assertion error, and this is the summary. In the last, you can see the summary, which is failed, and the name of the test file, the name of the test method, and which line is, or by the main reason for failing that test cases. So this is all about, this is very simple functionality. So yeah, so this is the simple functionality this we had done. Okay. After that, see, the 100% refers to the overall progress of running all test cases after this. This is something that I was telling, that 100% is something that you had run all the test cases or not. See, after that we had run multiple tests. So how to do that? Let me go to my VS Code and let me create another file. Test file. You can see test underscore app2.py. Save it. Okay, so this is my app test underscore app2.py. You can also save that underscore before the test, right? In the documentation also you can see that you can save your file as test underscore.py or underscore test.py. So let me go to my VS Code, and we can also see rename. It will also execute. See, like that. Test. What was the pattern? Test.py. Okay. Test.py. Test one. We can. Okay. So this is our test file, and see, the first thing you have to do as an import. Let me import PyTest quickly. Import PyTest. It is showing that PyTest.
Capital I, ma'am, that would be small I, import.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks. So now after importing the thing, you can write as many test cases as you want. Let me write 1 or 2 for you. So first define test method 1. This is our first test method, in which x is equal to, let's say, 1, and y is equal to, let's say, 2, and assert. This is the main line of the test function. We have to check. So as you can see, this this test function, text test underscore method one will definitely fail, right? Sorry, x5. Sorry. Okay. X is not equal to y. Okay, 1 is not equal to 2. So this function, test function, will definitely fail. Let's see what happens. Let me first create another test method. So test method 2. This is our second. Okay, test method 2. Right. A is equal to, let's say, 10. B is equal to 20. And assert A plus 10 equal to B. Okay. So assert A plus 10. A is 10. So 10 plus 10 is 20, which is B. So this test case will definitely pass. So let me write a couple of more test cases. Def test method. These are all test cases, right? These are not ordinary Python function that we were creating in the previous file. So let's say name is Sonal. And after that, we will write a assert statement in which we are converting this name to upper case. So see here what we are doing, we are taking a variable which is equal to a string called Sonal. After that we are checking the string. First we are converting the string, this variable string into the uppercase, and then we are checking that is it equal to Sonal or not. So yeah, it is equal to this, it will be equal to this. So test function test method, and for this will, so this will simply assert false. Okay, this will simply, we can also write any assert statement as like this. So see, these are our test cases. Now save it. First, let me clear the so if we now PyTest, and after that we can write the name of our test1.py. Okay, so see what is happening here. So why we are writing here the underscore test1.py and not PyTest only? Because in our folder, in this structure, we have two test files, right? We have test underscore app1.py as well as underscore test1.py. If we only run PyTest, so the PyTest will run all the test cases collectively from this file and this file. So to run a specific file, if you want to run a specific file, then we will write the name of the, we'll write the name of the specific file which you want to run. So in our case, we are just wanted to run this file, that underscore test1.py. So see here what they are stating, the session had started, collected 4 items because we had just created the test function, 4 test function. So in our case we have 4 test function, that's why they had written that 4 items. After that they had written the name of the test file that we are running, underscore test1.py. See, the first thing to notice that we are saving our test file with the underscore at the beginning and not at the last. So it will also work as if we save a file name as in both this way. So here, see, you can see that this, what is this? What is this structure? Why they are like false and then two dots and then one false? Because the dots which you are noticing here is nothing but the thing which are passed, the test cases which are passed, right? The green dots states that the second and the third test cases had passed and the first and the fourth test cases had failed. Now see, here in our case, this is false, right? I had told you earlier that this test case will definitely be false. After that, what is our test case? The second test underscore method 2. Here, a plus 10 is 20, and that is equal to b. So that has been passed. After that, if we change our string to the uppercase and then we are asserting and we are checking that this is equal to this or not, so this had also passed. And here we had written the assertion statement as false, so that's why this is failed. If we go to the details that which test cases pass and what is the reason, to see, they are telling you that assert 1. Here in this case, this is 1 and this is 2. So that's why they are throwing that assertion error here. So if you go to the test underscore method 4, which is this, so they are stating that this statement is just return. This statement is something that is throwing the assertion error. The thing that I had told you earlier, that the asserts keyword, what does that do? In the case of true, if the statement inside the assert keyword, when we are using that assert keyword, when the statement returns true, that nothing will happen. Okay. In the case of when the test cases is failing, they will throw assertion error. So that's why here we are giving them that this test cases is false, and that's why they are throwing that assertion error. This is the main reason. And if we give this true and save it, and then if we run that test1.py, see, we have collected 4 items, and last one of the test cases is returning true. See here in the summary itself, they are also stating that only 1 test cases is failing, 1 failed and 3 passed. So in this way, you can also create multiple test cases. You can test as many as test cases you want. So this is one method. So let's see. So after that, let me tell you one thing, that there are to run the multiple files. See here we have 2 files, right? So to run the multiple files, we can have 2 approaches, which is first one, grouping test names by substring matching. So first thing is test name by substring matching, and the second is grouping by markers. So I will demonstrate you what is this things. So first is the grouping test cases by substring matching. So now let's see first approach. So for that we have nothing to do. Just let me clear this tree and see. We have method 1, method 2, method 3, and method 4. So what we'll do, there is a special command which is used in order to implement this approach, that is running the file by substring matching. See, py.test, and after that we write -k. I'll explain you this, -k, and then the name of the keyword you want to run. Okay, the name of the test which contains this keyword, and you want to run that. See, let's say I want to run only method 1. So in our case, we have 3 past test cases, right? We have method 1, method Okay, method 2. Okay, sorry. We have method 2, 3, and 4 as true, right? We have 4 test cases collectively, and we, after running, we saw that we have only 3 test cases which had run successfully and passed. So here by this way, like by pi dot test, by using this command -k, and method 1 is the keyword which represent the substring to match, right? So I just want to execute those test cases which has this keyword, and -k, this what this is representing, this is representing the keyword flag, keyword flag. Yeah,
Can I just write 1 here, like -k1?
-k1.
Yes.
No, why do you want to -k? This is just a flag, right? We cannot change it.
No,
You,
like instead of method 1, we could write 1 because it's a substring.
I'm not really
Like
getting what you
method
are.
1 is a substring, right? This is a keyword.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah, keyword.
so instead of writing method 1, we can write 1 here. Instead cutting the method word and writing only 1 here. Right?
Okay, so you are working like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so see, let me run this and see what happens. Okay. Hmm. Where, okay. See, this will also work. Okay, so see here when we run this pi.test -k1, so what it does, it search for the keyword 1, and whenever the PyTest find that keyword 1, they will collect it and run it. So see here, in case of 4 items, 4 test cases, they had only collected 1 item. Why? Because we are using some special syntax to run file, which are searching for a very specific substring, and they match a specific substring in the test function, and then they can run it. So here, see, in this file test, they are telling that in this file they had collected 1 item which is false. So I had collected this which is false, right? So why it is giving the failure? It is also the reason they are stating that okay, 4 is not equal to 5, and they are throwing the assertion error, all these things. So it will also work as if instead of method 1, if we write method 2 or 2, whatever the keyword, specific keyword, but you can't write the test underscore, right? This is the common thing. You cannot write test underscore, because this is not a keyword, this is a specific syntax of Python. So after that, whatever you write, that will be the thing to match, right? Substring. So see, if I write method 2 and run. Okay, method 2. Okay, so here is this PyTest -k method dot 2. So 1d -k. Okay, so why they are telling that test session starts, collected 1 item which is nothing but this, and they 1 deselected. Why they are deselecting it? Because first method 2 I.test -k, and then let me run with method 2 only. So they are repetitively deselecting 1. I don't know why this is happening, but let me try it. Test method 2. Okay, assert. Let me try with method 3.
Ma'am, you need to change the file name. It's _test1. You need to remove that one from the file name.
Here, file
Yeah.
name. Okay.
So like the prefix that's mentioned in the documentation, according to that.
This is fine. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if we go to the method 2 once again, collected 5 items. Why they are selecting 5 items?
No, now it is selecting one, a 4D selected.
Okay. So I was saying the sorry. Here you can see that collected 5 items, 4 deselected and 1 selected. Why 4 deselected? Because they don't have that method 2 keyword, right? They are method 1, method 3, and method 4. So the thing they selected is only the method 2, which test underscore method 2, which contains the method 2 keyword. So that's why. And you can see a one dot, green dot, right? So you can see one dot here. So that represent that is fast. And if that will be something which is failed, they will denoting like F. So this is one approach, right? This is one approach that we can select only those functions or those test methods which has certain keywords that you want in your test cases. So this is very beneficial, right? You can give some test cases a special keyword and you can run all those at once. So this is one thing. After that, the second approach is what we group them by markers. So what is markers? So to run the test using markers, we have to specify the markers before each test. So what do I mean with that? See, so before any test case, which you need, we just need to write a syntax, right? See, the syntax nothing but the PyTest dot mark dot. This is the syntax of PyTest. PyTest dot mark PyTest markers, and after that you can give any name that you want. Let's say we are giving M1, like M1. This is method 1, so we are giving a marker like M1. So you can give any name here after the mark dot PyTest dot mark dot M1. So this is the first marker. Before this, we can give a marker like M2.
And what is marker?
So see, marker is nothing but, see, in our test file, this is the test file, right? We test underscore 1.py. This is our test file. So marker, does the marker do? If we want to run a specific method in the previous approach, we are running our test function with due to some substring, right? Some string like method 1, method 2, this kind of thing. So this is also a thing very similar to that. This is a second approach in which we can run a specific test function and there is some special kind of command that I'll show you. So this is only the second approach. Let me demonstrate it, and then I think you will understand it better. Let me clear it. So I had created 2 markers, and I have not created markers for this test function. Let's see what happens. So see, what is the syntax? PyTest. After that, -m. See, in the previous approach, that was the substring matching approach, we are giving a flag called -k, right? The keyword -k. Here we are using a flag like -m. So here what this dash m, what represent that marker. After that, the name of the marker. See which marker you want to execute. I want to execute the marker which a name m1. So it will not execute this, right? It will not also execute this and this. Okay, let me give that marker to this function also. This function also. Let's see what happens. M1. So we have the marker at this above this function and this function. So if we run, save and run this. See what they are telling. 5. Okay. Collected 5 items. They are telling they are collecting 5 items. Okay. Why they are telling so? Let me first check. Mark pytest.mark.m1. Any name? Test minus, I'm not sure. Okay. Let me first look it once again. Py.test, and after that minus m is the thing. After that, the name of the marker. I think we can change it. Okay. My marker. My save it. And the name of marker. My marker. So my marker, they are collecting 5 items. 3 deselected, 2 selected. So here I'm writing only 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay. They are collecting.
Is it
2.
selecting the 5th one from the other file?
Yeah, I think so. But I am not stating any kind of marker here. So why they are selecting
No,
5?
it's just collecting and then so it deselected. So maybe that's why it's counting.
Yeah, that's why. I think because see, we are not stating the name of the file right here. Here in this command, we are not stating any file name, right? We are just stating py.test and we are stating the marker name and minus m flag. So here I think they are collecting all the test cases from all the test files. That is the thing that I was telling you before, that if we are not giving, if we are only writing the py test, right? Py test or py.test, anything. So they will collect all the test cases from all the test files. In this case, in our case also, they are collecting all the test cases from all the test file, which is test _1 and test app1.py. So yeah, if we state some kind of name of a file here, I think there will be connecting only 4 items from here. So there are 5 items. I think they are collecting 1 test cases from here also, like 1 from here and 4 from here. Okay, so they are collecting 5 items and 3 deselected. Why? Because see, first one is this. They are not selecting this because there is no marker here. One is this. One is the second, this marker, right? This marker, because this is not the marker we are stated in our command. So the second marker is this, and third is this. So that's why they are writing that 3 deselected and only 2 they are selecting, because the marker, my marker, is here in the method 3 and only in the method 1. So that's why they are telling that, okay, test1.py and one is failing and one is passing. So here, in the case of the failing test cases, what is the issue? that 1 is not equal to 2. They are giving the assertion error. So okay, so these are the two approaches, right? This the marker thing and the substring matching thing. They by both of these two methods, we can easily group, we can easily test the specific test function that we want to, and we can also match any substring of your function, and then you can also test it by then. So these are the two methods. Okay, so after that, after this, one more thing, let me go to the documentation. We had created the first test, we had run multiple test cases. Okay, so this thing is the thing. Okay, group multiple test in a class. So how do we do that? Let's see. Go to our file and create a new test file. So test 2.py. This is the file, test2.py, Python file, and go to the documentation, let's say. Okay, so in behalf of going and copy pasting, let me write it my own class. Let me create a class. Let's say my class name is my class, and see, this is a simple Python class, like class my class. And after that, we are defining some test cases within the class. So how do we do that? A test dot test one. Let's say this is, let's say we have a list. Say any list 1, 2, 3, and we are checking that 1 is in the num or not. Okay, so this is our first test case. Let me write the second one also. Def test 2. And after that, let's say what do I, okay, name. After that, we check that yes, oh, okay, whatever, we check hello in name. So see, in this Python class, we are creating two test cases, in which the first test cases we are checking that one is whether one is exist in this list or not. So this will definitely be passing. After the second test cases, if we say name is equal to Sonal, and we are checking hello in this name, this string in this name. So I think yeah, okay, this will fail, right? So let me save and run. Let's see. So clear. How to run this? PyTest. Name of the function. What is the name of the test2.py? This is right. test2_2.py. Okay. Collected 0 items. Right.
I guess the class name needs to have the prefix test, I guess.
Class name, let me go to the documentation and check. Test. No. This is just a test class. The prefix is something like this, right? Test_.py or so test class test one. Okay. PyTest -q test dot, what is, okay, let me what is the issue? If we run those test dot. Okay, let me change the test class name. Let's see. Okay. Now this will work, right? Okay, I think there is some issue. Test class test. Okay. Let me copy and paste one. I don't know what is this. Okay. Yeah, I had pasted that exact code here. Oh, sorry. After that, they are. So let me copy paste the command also. Okay, after that, this is the name of what is the name of our file test.
Ma'am, why are we creating a class?
Why? Okay, now it is working fine. I don't know why this happened. But... Okay, so see here, we are stating a test. We are defining our test cases under the class, a Python class. So we are creating a class and within which we have two test cases. We have test 1 and we have test 2, right? So here, see, we have x is equal to this. This is the keyword. This is a string, and we are checking h in this. So yeah, this will pass. Right? This will pass. Hello. Okay. Anyone speaking? Pushpak Fruit.
I was saying that this is the prefix capital T test, like in the class name.
Okay,
Without
so
that,
this is the thing, right?
yeah.
But okay, fine. But okay, yeah, that thing I missed it. Okay. Thanks. I think we can continue with the previous thing also. Just we had. Let me check this. This is working on my test. It is. Where is this? Okay. Why this is showing fail? Solution error. This have to be passed, right?
No, one is a string in the first case.
Oh, okay. Oh, number one. Change one of the test cases. This is showing an issue.
Self.
Okay. I got it. I was just forget to add self here. That's why it is showing that error. That because we are defining this test cases within the class, right? So that's why it is mandatory to write self within. So see here, where is the, yeah, okay. So pytest minus q test2.py, if you run this thing, this command, so they are showing that one test is passed and one second is failed. So why this is passing? Because yeah, of course, h is present in x, right? H is present in this. If we talk about the second test case, which is this, so they are asking for checking the hello in name. This is not right. If we write something like s so on, this kind of thing, this will pass, right? This will pass. Let's see. And you see two passed in this, so nothing but is failed here. No test cases is failed here. That's why they are not showing any session and all those things, as assertion error, the reasons, and all these things, right? So that's why. So this is the something in the documentation, grouping multiple tests in the class. After that, what is the thing? Okay, this is the last thing. Okay. So yeah, this is one thing. Now let's talk about one of the very basic what we say, very basic concept regarding this PyTest, which is fixtures. So we talk about what is fixtures. So fixtures are basically those functions which will run before each test function to which it is applied. So see, let me create one test function and then I'll demonstrate what is fixtures. See, test3.py. Okay. Oh, let me. So, okay, we had created one test file. Now, let me demonstrate what PyTest fixture is. So, we not need to write so many test cases again and again. Let me copy and paste one. Just remove this markers. Okay, I had removed all the markers and we had a file, test file, in which we have 4 test cases. Okay, so whenever we need to run some code before a test, let's say we want any function which had to run before any which had to run before any test cases. Let's say we have this function. Okay, so I'll create one. So see, let's say I have some function like def value, and after that we had some value is equal to let's say 9. Okay, and after that we have some like return value 1, simple return. Okay, so this is not a text function. If you see carefully, that this is not a test function, right? We are not giving that suffix and prefix dot underscore and all that thing. This is a normal simple function. So now we create a test function. Say we are creating a test function, this test function, and say what we do, we are asserting input value 1, which is divisible by 2. This is our first. This is the first thing. Now, I'll show you why this yellow error, this error is showing here. Let me first complete the second test case. Test. This is assert value 1. See, so if we talk about fixtures, first thing to be kept in mind is that if any function is our fixtures, it will run before it will run before the test function that is stated. After that. Okay, so whenever we need to run some code, like let's say in our case, we want to execute this code, and then this code and this function, and after that we want to run this function and this function. Okay, so what we do is simply add fixtures to it. So what is the syntax of adding fixture? PyTest dot, in the same way we are adding the markups and all marks. So this is the fixture. Okay, so yeah, so what does this means? This function will execute very first. Now the very basic syntax is that adding the function above this fixture above it, and what after that we had to pass that fixture function, that is value, into this, sorry, value. Okay, this will be value. Okay, there is some confusion, value and value 1. So this will be the thing which will have to pass in the, as an argument to the function which we want to execute after that. Okay, so here see, this two test 1 and test 2, this both are the test function, and we want to run this two functions after. This is only possible to run this two function after this function. The PyTest will run this first, and it will return the value 1, which is 9, to the value, to the function. And when we return the value 1 to the function, and we are passing 9 to this test function, and we are checking whether it is divisible by 2 or not. And similarly in this function, we are checking that that number, sorry, the value which is 9 in our case is divisible by 3 or not. So this is the concept. So it is mandatory to pass the fixture function to the function which you want to run after the fixture function, right? So see what, let me run this. So now how do we run this? Let me PyTest and the name of the file, test. What is this? test3. Okay. So see here, after running this thing, what the fixture does, it had PyTest fixture does, it collected 2 items. It collected 2 items means it has collected 2 test cases. This had 2 test cases which has value 9. Where this value is coming from? This value is coming from here, right? This is value is coming from, if we okay, if we let's say if we commented, sorry, commented and then there is no meaning of now value, right? What is this value and where is it is coming from? So that's why fixture is useful. So this value 9 is coming from this function. So what does PyTest fixture do? They first coming to this function, value function, which is basically returning 9, and after that they are executing the test function one by one, this test1 and test2. So see here, in our case, test1 dot value, which it is not passing, right? Because 9 is not divisible by 2, it is not a factor. So that's why this is failing and this is passing. In our case, this is failing and this is passing. That is what here they are mentioning, that assert 9 9 modulo 2 is equal to 0, which is not true, not true. Okay, so this is what we are called as fixtures. So this is fixtures. After fixtures, the last thing we just have to know about PyTest is parameterized. What is parameterized test? So the last and the important thing. So we can basically parameterize the test to run multiple arguments. For example, let's say let's say create one more test, right? There will be not any ambiguity. So file name is existing. Test underscore 4.py. So what I was telling, see, in this Python file, let's say first import PyTest. This is the first one. Okay. After that, let's say we have some test case. Some test case like test1. After that, okay, so let me create the function and then I can, so see, first and very basic important thing in case of the parameterized test is to add a decorator above, as we in case of the markers and fixtures, we have seen that we had to add a decorator in above with the function. So in this case also we do similarly such kind of thing also. So here we will, okay, parameterized. Okay, so this is the marker. Sorry, this is the basic syntax through which we can add parameterized test. So how do we do that? Let's say we have this is happening. So ignore this. So after that, what we do, let's say we have two numbers, num1 and num2. And after that, we have some arguments regarding it. Let's say we have the list, under we have 1 library, we have 2 22, and we have 3 and 34. This is the thing. So what here we are doing, see, we are giving the certain parameter to the we are giving certain parameter to our test cases. How we can do that? We can simply write num1 here. Okay, so what will be the num1 and num2? These are nothing but the parameters that we are passing to this test underscore test1. And what will be the value? The value will be anything from that. Num1 will be can be 1, num1 can be 2, it can be 3, num1, num2 can be 11, 22 or 34. Okay, so within the test cases, we are just checking assert let's say 11 into 11 into num1 is equal to num2. So this is our function, right? So what, let me first run this and then I can show you. The command PyTest, name of the function, and then okay. They are telling that collected 0 items and 1 error. File import PyTest @pytest.mark dot parameterize num1 comma num2, and then we are stating 111 222 334. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. After that, we are stating the test function, and we are passing this argument to the test function that we had stated earlier in the parameterized decorator, that num1 and num2. And after that, we are asserting 11 into num1 is equal to num2. I think this is fine. We are not collecting it. Because try it once again. PyTest, and the name of the function test underscore 4 dot py PyTest. Okay. This is the same syntax. PyTest dot mark dot parameterize. What is the issue? This. Num1 and num2. That is what we had passed here. It is something that should be passing, right? We are expecting this test cases to be passed.
Will these parameters be in another bracket, num1 and num2 together as a tuple?
I don't think so, because you are telling like tuple. No, as far as I know, the argument will be without any brackets, and the value are within the list, the tuples of list of tuples. Yes. Adarsh, are you there? Can you check this and can confirm what is the syntax of exact syntax of parameterized PyTest? Hello.
Yeah, let me check.
Just check and confirm. I'm just as far as I know, I'm sure about this syntax. number. Okay. I test. I think this is.
Can you try sending them as a single string, num1, comma num2 in a single string?
Okay. This way.
Yeah, remove space also.
Yeah. Okay, now it's working. Test4.py, but it is collecting, I think, 3 items. Okay. 1, 2, and why it is collecting this? Okay, okay, so okay, so now see what is happening here. There is some syntactical error. We had to give both num1 and num2 in the single string. So now uh, if we run those files, we had collected 3 items. How 3 items? Because we had passed 3 arguments, right, for num1 and num2. So they are checking these assert a statement against all of the 3 conditions, like 1, 11, 2, 12, 22, and 332. They are collected 3 items, but only 2 is passing because let's say we have 1, and whenever we multiply it to 11, we'll will got num2, which is 11. So this will pass, right? In this case also the same thing is happening. 11 into 2, which is 22. So this is also passing, right? And if we talk about this condition, so 11 into num1, which is 3, and which should be 33, but it is 34. That's why it is failing, right? So see, here both num1 and num2, they had been stated that okay, these are the parameters that had been passed, and which is passed to the function, which got failed, and why they are failing, the reasons and the assertion error. So okay, so this is the thing. These are basic things about the PyTest. Okay, so one more thing I just wanted to show here. Like, see here. Let me go to the first. Okay, so there is one more features in PyTest. Like we can skip any function that would this skip function in PyTest will basically enable me to skip any test. For that you need to write a simple decorator like C mark dot skip, simple. So this is a functionality which we can skip the particular so let me remove all those markers, and then we can see what happens. See mark dot skip, and let me save it. And if we run what is this PyTest, and name of the file is test1 test_1.py. Okay, so they are collecting 4 items, 1, 2, 3, and 1 more. Okay, so they are collecting 4 items, one is skipped, right? This thing you can see mine. The three dots is something like they are passing the three test cases, like test method 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they are skipping one. Okay, so let me minus C. Let's see minus B. See, if we go to the verbose mode, which will give you the full details what skipped and what not. See, they are collecting 4 items. The first one is skipped. The second one is passed. Third one is passed, and 4 is passed. So here, through this skip marker, this skip thing, we can also skip any function, and it will not. It will not execute. The PyTest will not execute it. So yeah, this is the last thing that I wanted to tell about PyTest. It is already about 4. So
Can I ask one question from VK?
From
VK.
yeah, okay, let me first stop sharing. Okay, there are many things happening in the chat. I think they have been answered by Adarsh. Okay, so hello Adarsh, are you there?
Yes, Surananda.
Okay, you can carry on. Okay, someone is asking about VK.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Yeah, you go ahead with your question.
Can you describe archive security logs?
No, see, the archive security logs are nothing but just what happens if you consider about a security cam. Okay, so you might have a building where it has certain number of security cams installed. Okay, so these are recording data. Okay, and it is kept on storing the data, and this is like a logging which we are using for security. Okay, just this is an example that I'm giving. Okay, so for example, these are the security cams which are logging data, which are recording every time. Okay, continuously recording. So this recording is not, this is something that we might use, we may not use for the entire period of time where they're kept. Okay, for most of the time they will go simply wasted. Okay, so this is simply keep on writing and writing in the logging, keeping on logging the video recording there, right? So similarly, we have archive logs, right? So what are these? So we have, for example, we have certain um, um, directory system. Okay, that directory system keeps on logging on the entries of all the employees in a company, for example. Okay, so there is a company and it has now certain number of employees. Okay, and every time the employee logs in, it records the details of the employees. Okay, now these details are important to the company itself. That's why it is secured. Okay, it is something that is of importance to the company and should not go out. Okay, and these are just for logging, right? So it gives the information about in the to the company or to that particular center. Okay, that this employee has logged in, this employee has logged in. Okay, so the entire information gets written, saved, and kept as it is. Okay, no change is done in that information. Okay, and very hardly this information is retrieved. Okay, so we are simply taking an information which is some security which is secured, and then saving it somewhere. Okay, and then this is being done continuously for a very long period of time. Okay, so the security archive logs is something that is saving the information and keeping it as is. That's it. You don't have to go into much details as in what is exactly being stored, because at this stage we can store any information, whatever is relevant to that particular part. Okay, so you are simply storing information and logging it, for storing as in logging it, right? So for example, even if you talk about your application, right, the final project, what you will be doing, you will be logging in the activities for a particular tracker. So that will be, kept on logging. Okay, and if by any chance you do not have any what we say functionality to edit that information, it will keep on simply logging and getting saved in the database. Nothing will be done to that. Okay, so it is the logs getting saved in the archive. Nothing happens.
Even repeated data, like the same user logs in, so repeated data can also be there, right?
Yeah. Repeated data can also be there.
And just one more question. Uh, Get request should be cacheable by default. It's written in the REST API. So, in cache, like there's a limit, like storage limit. So, what if we exceed that, then get request won't be cacheable, like after a certain limit.
Yeah, that's what exactly. Even the get request, the data that you give with the get request is so how does the data in get request goes, right? So it goes in the URL. So there is a certain word limit to that, as in how much you can pass to a part of URL. So that word limit is decided by the caching memory.
So, like if we exceed that, then that's not REST API. We're violating that rule, right? Of REST
Yeah,
API.
so we do not, yeah, exactly. Will not, the get request will not allow to pass data, right? It will not allow to pass a data that exceeds the limit. And then with that, your request will not be completely a response. The response to that request will not be rendered properly by the browser or by the server itself. Will be not given by the server.
It only happens in REST. Otherwise, it would happen like we would get the file in real life, like in other simple.
In general, get request, there is a limit to the amount of data that can be sent to a get.
Okay.
Because for example, not for example, what generally we do for posting data, we use a post method. Okay, and the data is given along with the post method, which is not the part of URL. Okay, so in that case, there is no limit on how much data you can transfer. But whenever data is being sent with the help of get method, it will be sent with the by the URL itself. So there is a limit to how long or how big in terms of data an URL can be.
And
Okay,
like
so
it also says a get request doesn't have a body, but I think it's true. It does have head and body. Get request.
yeah, get request.
In one of the questions, it says that get request doesn't have a body.
Yeah,
Is it true?
yeah. So get request does not have a body. The response of get request can have a body.
Oh, okay. And so like, can you just explain API validation?
API validation. Okay. See, validation by itself is something that takes into only a required form of input. Okay, that is validation. Okay, it does not take care of authentication, whether the credentials that you have provided are right or not. But in the database, whether they match with certain entry in the database or not. Okay, but the what we say but the data, the form of data that is to be put into the form is something that takes care by the validation. Okay, so this is like when you want to put the data and it is of certain format, the appearance of that data is in certain format, that will be taken care of by the validation. Whether it is matching with the credentials that already exist in the database or not is a second step that comes under authentication. Okay, now API validation is like simply using APIs for getting validation. Okay, so we talk about things like server side validation. Okay, so here in the front end, generally we talk about HTML forms. Okay, but at the server side, how is this validation done? Are we creating our own sorry, not the controller, are we creating our own validation at the server side, writing the source code for that, or are we using the APIs? Okay, so if I am employing APIs for validating my data, It is like API validation, validation with the help of APIs.
So server-side validation uses API, right?
Sorry.
So like server-side validation uses API.
Server-side validation may or may not. So if you want to employ, it's like the application again, right? So you can very well create your own controllers which will do the CRUD operations as required. But if you are required to employ APIs, you'll do the same thing using APIs and then use those API in the controller, right? So if you want validation to take place with the help of API, you'll write all the source code that validates in the API, create API for that, and use that API in your code.
In question, it says that API validation is not that safe. Like we cannot completely rely on it. Why?
Which question exactly?
It wasn't graded, I think. VK.
VK. Okay, just let me go to that question. Yeah, so is that question number 3? Like, which of the following is true for constraint validation API?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so constraint validation API is sufficient to protect against SQL injection. Constraint validation APIs only protect the form itself. It is always possible to directly submit the controller to the controller without going through the form. And okay. So yeah, this third point is fine, right? It is possible to submit the information directly to the controller without going through form, right? You just need to know either the URI of controller, if it is taking any data, that, or directly you should know the URI of or the resource URL of the API,
Mm.
right? So this is how you can directly submit the form to the controller. Okay. Now, constraint validation API is sufficient to protect. See, so constraint validation API is only protects from the form itself, right? Why? Because even if we are employing API at the server side, what are we using? We are using certain constraints, okay, that will check on the data that we are receiving from form. Okay, so after all, even at the server side, what is happening? What is the data that we are providing, or what is the data that the server takes? It is the one that we provide using form, right? So if that data can be manipulated, right? So what is this SQL injection? This SQL injection can be a query that acts as a string, okay, added into the form, which might change it, make some changes in the database, right? So that is the reason we are calling it SQL injection. You're just adding a query or adding some SQL syntax, some SQL statement that might be sufficient enough to manipulate the data at the back, right? So if you are using constraint validation API, what will happen? It will only look for the pattern that we create, right? So if we are trying to do that at the server side, we will generally create a pattern. Okay, what should be the type of username, what type of password you're accepting and stuff, right? So all this information you're getting from form.
HTML form.
Yeah, HTML form. So it protects that.
Like when we talk about front-end validation in HTML form, so it's basically that we only allow input text equals to input equals to text string or anything like that. Like that is the validation, simple like in form tag, right?
That along with some external attributes that can be added in the form itself.
In the
Okay.
form.
Yeah, in the form itself. For example, there is one like required, right? So once you add required, what will happen? Your form when rendered will not allow to keep that particular field remain empty.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how is that done? By adding the attribute required. There are other attributes
It's the
currently
form
not.
tag itself, right?
Yeah, in the form itself. Okay, so that is one way. That is one phase of validation, which will be the front end validation done by the HTML forms. Okay, so what happens at the background when I use this required and stuff, we are indirectly using this constraint validation APIs.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we say that it is able to protect the form itself. So even when a field is kept empty, is kept as required, and if I try to put something that is not more of a query, but it is more of an SQL, it will not be able to track that.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it will be better if you go through some of the examples, right, of SQL injection. I guess some of the examples are given in the
Yes,
in the.
I like I saw the examples like Sql Injection, yeah. So that I know.
Hmm.
So I have like 2, 3 more questions, small ones. Like
Yeah, but
static HTML web page, why is it the most secure?
yeah, because see, static HTML pages are like the archives, right? So we talked about the archive logs, right? So nothing can be done in that. Okay, it will not involve any JavaScript that will manipulate the content. Okay, it will not involve any dynamic content that can be changed by Python. Okay, so the what will happen when you render the static HTML file? Only the file will get rendered. No JavaScript will be embedded. No scripting is embedded. Nothing will be done to that file. But when other files which will have certain JavaScript, you can manipulate the script. Okay, so in that case, it does not become that safe or comparatively unsafe.
Right.
Right, so probably it is one
Most,
of the questions in practice.
yeah. And I want to know about DOM updates.
Okay.
And question number 8. Question number 8 is small, I think.
Question number 8 of.
Practice. Uh, isn't this a static web page like Hello World?
Yeah, see, that's what. See, so what is happening when you hit this your home URL, right? Not the home URL, the base URL
Mm.
slash. What will happen? It will call the hello function. Okay, and it will return a string which is created by the function every time you hit the home or the base URL. This string is not saved anywhere into your database or local file system.
Like not in HTML form.
Yeah, not in HTML form.
File, yeah.
Right? So every time you run this function or every time you hit the URL, the function runs which returns a string. So that string is created dynamically by the function every time you hit the URL. That is the reason it is a dynamic page rather than being static. What is a static page? And a page with a .html extension being called from the server and rendered by the browser.
JavaScript can't be there like at all, like even little bit.
No, JavaScript will not be there.
And so like DOM updates, please.
Yeah, DOM updates. Okay, so DOM updates is like manipulating the DOM. Okay, and it is a structure. So what happens when you create an HTML file? Okay, so let me go to this part. Okay, DOM updates. So what is DOM update? When you create an HTML file, what happens? The DOM of that HTML file is created by the browser so that the browser understand what are all the elements, what are all the styling associated with each element, um, uh, what is uh, along with the styling, are there any is there any JavaScript that is associated with that element in the same script later. Okay, so this structure, this DOM structure helps the browser to understand what is the exact structure of the HTML page. For us, an HTML page is simply a simple readable content. Okay, but how does JavaScript renders it? It will convert it into DOM and then will be rendered accordingly. Okay, so it creates. So what it does is it creates the node. It converts the HTML page into nodes where each node represents an element. Okay, and the branches of that node will be, one branch will be associated with the stylings or the stylings that is associated to that particular element, and the second branch would be the content of that element. Okay, for example, I have a div tag which will have a color of, let's say, background color red. Okay, and there is a content hello world. Okay, so these are the two branches, one that states the styling and one that states the exact content of the div tag. Okay, what will DOM do? It will create this tree like structure, and it will in most cases will not show the styling part. Okay, why? Because I can change that styling even directly by targeting that element. Okay, even if I talk about DOM updates, DOM manipulation, I can simply target that element and change the styling, so it will not be shown uh, to the browser, or it will not be shown even for us. Okay, so that is the reason the styling part gets hidden. Okay, and the main content parts is shown. Okay, that is the reason we come up with the concept called shadow DOM. Okay, so this is just since we came up with this DOM, so I said, okay, so what happens with this DOM structure? So if you are using JavaScript uh, to not handle it by HTML, not handle it by writing the HTML code, but by JavaScript, you will use DOM for its manipulation. Okay, if you want to use HTML, you will directly write the code of HTML and make changes. Okay, what are DOM updates exactly? DOM updates are making changes in the DOM or creating directly the DOM, not the HTML. Okay, what happens? What are we talking? First, we are creating the HTML and letting the browser to create the DOM. Okay, but here the second scenario is directly creating the DOM. Okay, so directly creating the DOM will not will make the page inaccessible, because um, inaccessible as in, because we then do not know what are all the contents of the page. In HTML, it are easily accessible, easily we can go through all the elements. Okay, but the DOM, it is more accessible to the browser.
So the user can't see, but browser can access it. Like,
Yeah, but we are talking about generating, right? Browser will not be able to generate.
okay, but browser can read it, like, and understand it.
Yeah, but for that we need to have the exact file, right? The DOM file.
No, like if we create the DOM file directly, and browser has it, then can't it like make it accessible? Like, why is it unaccessible?
Okay. No, so probably what we're looking at here is the updating the DOM. Okay, and we're creating the DOM and making certain updates. For what is inaccessible? Inaccessible is not, no, inaccessible does not mean that you're not able to look at the page. Okay, not able to have a look at the page is not uh, inaccessible here. What is inaccessible? To easily locate what element is where.
Oh,
Okay, accessible means, see, when we talk about JavaScript, and if I want to target a particular element in that HTML page, what I will do, I will directly retrieve it from the HTML with the help of document, okay, or document manipulation. I don't need to know what element is where, okay. But when we create, when the browser creates, or when the DOM is created, what will happen? The DOM structure will be known by the browser, but we as a user will not be, in a position to understand what are all the elements, what is the content of each element, okay. So, and even if we know that, we do not know how many of those elements are there in the complete file. Okay, so here we'll look at not the simple HTML, but more complicated one, the longer ones, okay, which has a lot of content. So in that case, there are several other elements and several other tags, which will make it inaccessible to understand, okay, what are the tags? Okay, because you do not have a bigger picture like HTML where you can see the entire file.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so creating the page to DOM updates is right. You are defining, okay, div, I'm creating a div. Okay, then you're defining, okay, this is the content I'm adding. Okay, then you're defining a next element within the content. Then you're defining the content. Okay, so you're doing that one by one. So you do not have the idea of entire page. That is what we mean by inaccessible. Okay, being accessible is how easily you can get the idea of what are all the contents of pages.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the idea. Probably the statements are not very clearly written here, but see, if we try to try very clear idea about the statement would itself become very long, and then it becomes more confusing. Yeah, so the statements have to be kept concise so that they are short and still gives a proper interpretation. Some of the statement becomes a bit tough to understand. Yeah, so I understand that why this statement looks a bit tricky.
It was due to this word like inaccessible. I couldn't understand its meaning.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so there is a long explanation given by Nimesh. This is regarding validation, right? So do we need to implement server-side validation also for our project for checking the form elements? I wanted to ask particularly about do we need to also write some logic to check? No, it's not required, Nimesh. See, the validation by itself is an optional thing, right? So we have not given a lot of emphasis on validation, marking weightage on validation. So even a simple validation at the front end would suffice. Yeah. So what you say at the last, right? Or can we just get away with just front end validations like applying type attributes? Yeah, that would be more than sufficient. Okay, and still if I can make this statement, even if no validations are created, even if you are adding your email ID at the name in place of password and still getting the page to access, that is also fine, no issues. But as login page should exist, right? Because anyway you need to recognize the user, okay, or recognize the trackers or the dashboard of the user. Then only you'll be able to retrieve the relevant data. There will be hardly any syntax related questions. Okay, so there will be hardly any syntax related questions in quiz 2, because now in quiz 2 we are in a better position to have the coding part, the better position to have the concepts embedded in the questions rather than simply worrying about the templates, right? So the one thing to understand here, the week 4 content, right, the quiz 1 content, weeks 1 to 4, the major part there was week 4, not the week 4, week 3, where you talk about templating. Yeah, I got it, I understood, right? So that was more of templating. So templating there, if we considered templating being 1 week content of the total week 4 weeks content, it comprises of the 25% of the total questions. Okay, but here when we talk about major concepts that we wanted to give you through this course, like Flask, SQL Alchemy, RESTful APIs, validation, server-side rendering, things like that. Here, the weightage of or the contribution, not the contribution, the emphasis on templating will be least. Okay, so here you won't be, you don't need to worry, you don't need to be worried about questions like syntaxing, right? You don't need to go through a lot of documentation to be able to answer these questions. So we have taken care of that this time.
Would we need to know like the syntax like of SQL injection, like how we write it all?
No, don't need to. SQL injection is a concept. Okay, understanding the concept is more than sufficient. What is actually SQL injection? That's it. We are not trying. We are not learning SQL injection. How SQL injection is done. That is not the idea. Okay, this is about how how malicious activities like SQL injections can destroy your database is something that you want to put light on. Otherwise, we as a part of course we are not teaching SQL injection, how SQL injection is done. We don't need to learn that.
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible? Sir?
Yeah, Nivesh.
Sir, I just wanted to ask one thing out of curiosity, sir. We are using a Flask RESTful for creating endpoints for API. So, sir, can we?
Nivesh, your voice broke. Is it only me or?
He actually went silent.
Okay. Can we expect post-based JavaScript question in phase 2? Yeah. See, there is no statement that said you cannot use regex, Nidesh, but it's only that I guess there is a thread from Abhishek, right, which he says that it won't be a good idea. I think you should read that, and you might understand why we are not in much favor of using regex. Yeah, so Divyanshu, you should be able to do the questions with the basics and introduction that we have given. Okay, so even we know that what is the content that has been given as a part of JavaScript. So I hope if you have gone through the slides given, you might know that okay, this is the part that might come. So being able to do those type of questions is something that is expected. Okay, so completely lost Nivesh. Right? Nivesh, if you are there, you can either unmute or post it on the chat. Okay, while Nivesh is writing, anything else?
I
Okay.
have one doubt.
Yes.
Related to week 7. There was a concept replication versus redundancy.
Okay.
I have doubt with that.
Okay, see, the concept of redundancy and replication are understood when you understand why they are done exactly. Okay, so with the concept, like with the thing, what is happening in both, we can say that okay, they are similar. Even in both the cases, we are having copies, okay, of the same data again and again. But in what case we'll call it redundancy, and in what case we'll call it replication is something that we need to look at. Okay, so redundancy is something when you want to keep as a backup. Okay, so if I want to keep my data as a backup, okay, I have a fear of losing the data for some reason. Okay, so for the backup purpose, if I'm keeping the data in my machine, is redundancy. Okay, this is redundancy. So whenever you talk about backup, okay, an extra copy for keeping the backup, it is called as redundancy. Now, what is replication? The replication is now you have database, okay, and you have 5 servers, 5 points to the servers, okay. Let us consider there is a pool of servers, okay, and there are 5 servers in that pool of servers, okay, and there are so many clients that are requesting for the same data, okay. Now if all the 5 servers are requesting to the same database for the same data, it will add a lot of traffic, okay. The request is coming from the client to server 1, the server 1 is requesting the same database, okay. Same thing happening with the remaining 4, okay. What if I created the copies of this database 4 times more or equal to the number of servers, so that individual server have its own copy, that will not uh, result in traffic jam, okay.
Okay.
So in that case, this is called as replication, okay. Here the data with server 2 is same as data with server 3 for the and everything, like vice versa, but the data of server 2 is not a redundant copy of data of server 3. The data of server 2 is being used by server 2 for the same client, the same data, and the data of server 3 is used by server 3 to serve its own clients, right? So both are in process, both are in function together, but are same copies. So there we'll call it replication, okay. And redundancy, I told you, if the same copy of data is kept but only one copy is used, others are just kept, in that case it is redundant, okay. So redundancy is something when we'll talk about backup, and replication is something when we talk about reducing load on the servers or reducing load on the database.
So when we talk about replication, we are basically storing some common data which will not change over time, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Data will be same in both the cases. Even in redundance, even in the redundant data, the data is same. But what is the meaning of redundant? It is there, but it is just there. In replication, the data is there and it is being used by, it may be or may not be used by other users also, parallelly.
But then if we are copying data to all those 5 servers, then would that not add an extra cost? Like if we are talking about performance overall, then the overload is reducing, but then the time taken to copy the data, that is slowing down the process. So
No. So it's not that the data is copied only when it is called.
live
We are
replication or
keeping,
something.
we are keeping the data. It's like I have some data in my system and I'm keeping the same data in another system, okay. So there is a difference between keeping the data in a hard drive, external hard drive, and there is a difference between keeping the data in another system, okay. So if I keep the same data in another hard drive, I won't be able to use that data unless I plug that drive into my system, okay. That is a redundant file, it is not being used but it is there, okay. But if I keep the same data in another system and that system is working on the same thing, and if another person is using the same data, it is exactly the same data, but it is not using my data, it is not putting load on this data.
Okay, got it.
Right, so it is like being used, both the data, although being same, they are used all parallelly. In redundancy, that will not happen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So okay, fine. Yeah. So we got this now from Nivesh. Okay, we are using Flask RESTful creating endpoints for API by mentioning the path of the resource, and in the add resource, then we return JSON as output. Okay. The same thing we do in the app.route. Same thing we do in the app.route, where we also mention path for some endpoint. So can we use app.route for defining endpoints there only and returning output in JSON format? If we can do that in app.route, then why we use Flask RESTful and what is the benefit of using it. See, Flask RESTful is actually returning you JSON by itself. You are returning the data and your data will be JSON. Okay. In app.route, the functions defined by app.route, I guess you have only two options there. One is to either redirect and the other is to render the template. Okay, if you try anything apart from that, it will give you an error saying that the response or the object that is returned is I forgot the error exactly, but you try to return this, you try to return a JSON instead of rendering a template, it will definitely throw an error. Okay, these are not simple functions that return whatever we want them to. Okay, these functions are decorated with app.route, okay, which are having additional functionalities along with limitations that only you can render some things. Okay, you cannot render a variable, you cannot render not render, you cannot return an object directly using these functions app.route. Okay, but in the functions or the methods defined in app.route, why am I calling the methods? Because they are defined within class. Okay, so the methods defined within Flask RESTful, they can return anything you want. Okay, so this is the benefit actually. Okay, so you can receive data in any format you want with the Flask RESTful methods, but in the app.route methods, they will return, but along with return, you will have to either write render template or either you have to redirect to another URL. Okay, so if you want to understand what I said, you just return the JSON using app.route. Yeah, if that was possible, why do we have Flask RESTful? Okay, so we have Flask RESTful for one particular reason, that they return JSON. Can we use if condition to check the type of client request and then return the response in type of HTML or JSON? Nirish, I would, same thing. Like I would suggest you to try returning a JSON using app.route functions. Okay, so error is something like this. The view function did not return a valid response. Something like this will come. Okay, what is a valid response? It is rendering something which should be an HTML or string. So the correct rendering would be of the type application, not of the type application JSON or HTML. It should be text/HTML. Okay, I think you try that. We'll see what happens. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think that is sufficient for an answer. If there is anything else, yeah, Nilesh, just check that what it shows. Yeah. So try to return a response that is not rendering a template or redirecting. You see what it shows. Okay, anything else? Okay, so I think a lot of participants left because they might have another session here. Yeah, one follow-up question on decorator. Yes, Snail. Yeah, sure. Those who have a session can leave, no issues. Yeah, so wait for 2 minutes for Snail to type. Okay, I hope you're writing Snail. Okay, how does the app route return a different function when we return a rendered template? What exactly is the scenario? See, an app.route function will always return a rendered template or will redirect to another controller, another route. I'm not sure if I understand this term, return a different function. Okay, I mean change the behavior of function. No, it's not changing the behavior of function. See, you do not write that at the rate app.route and simply define a function. Okay, with function name, write all the thing that is written in a controller and return a render template. Okay, the function will not understand what is render template. Okay, a simple function when decorated with app.route understands that okay, I need to serve this web this HTML page to the web. This is the additional functionality that is being added to the simple functions that we are creating. Okay, otherwise we'll have to write the entire code that will render my simple HTML page to the web. Okay, what you are exactly doing, you are simply writing the code that the controller should do, right? Retrieving all the CRUD operations if you want. Okay, but how does the function becoming capable of serving this file on the web? Okay, that additional functionality comes when you decorate it with app.route. Okay, so app.route is giving that additional functionality, it's not changing anything. It should work with a function call to, but you won't be able to serve that page on the web. That is the whole idea of Flask, right? Creating an app and then making the controllers controllers able to serve certain pages on the web is the objective of using Flask. Okay, and then Flask have defined things like app.route, which adds this functionality to the function, right? So even if the function returns a page, yeah, function will return page. Okay, you will in normal Python you will have to assign it to a variable and then the page will be assigned in the form of text to that page. That is something we can think of, but how does it go to web? How does it go to that URL? How is it linking with that URL? You hitting the page, how are you getting the page rendered by the browser? That is the additional functionality. You are nowhere coding it in the function, right? Exactly, that is what I'm saying. App.route changes the function into a function that publishes the web page to the web or the content of that HTML file to the web. Okay, so if you do not import Flask and you do not create app and you do not use that decorator, you might not as well be able to use render template. Why? Because it is a method of Flask. Okay, simply creating the function will not be. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it's good that you got. Okay, fine. Okay, so is that it? Okay, I suppose this is it. Thanks for the session. We'll see you all tomorrow then, 11. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.